Okay, welcome to another edition of American Soccer Break. I have Rahi, I have Ishana, and we have more from the US women.
Yes, I'm wearing my one of my favorite shirts. It's from the 2002 World Cup. It's vintage now, to kind of get me into the vibes.
The greatest World Cup for the U.S. men's team. Hopefully, this will
Yes.
be a memorable one for the women's team.
100%. But we had a game last week from the US women, which left us with some questions. Was it disappointing? Was it a good draw? What do we think about this?
Some questions and some answers, though. I mean, certainly an atrocious first half performance that had us all scratching our heads. I think we were really worried. I mean, I was watching that game with friends, as I think we all were, and we were really concerned because that first half was very, very poor. And after sort of okay game against Vietnam, you're wondering, is this the team? Is this the team that we're going to see for the rest of the tournament? And then Rose Lavelle came on in the second half. And then Lindsey Horan got upset. And then all of a sudden, we saw the team that we thought we might see, we hoped we might see, and we did see. They looked a completely different team. And I'm very encouraged. Honestly, I get it. The first half was terrible. But that second half, put that in a bottle and let's go.
Yeah, Shana, the first half looked a little bit like the US men versus Netherlands, right?
Yeah, it was funny. It was similar. They looked sloppy the way they did against Vietnam. But I will say, I was very, very pleasantly surprised and encouraged when they came on in the second half. Not only just because, like, I think people forget this comes with the territory of being like a superpower and having, won this tournament 4 times, where it's sort of like this intangible force that they have this like belief almost in themselves, and they start getting angry, they start fouling people, getting frustrated. To be honest, I'm a little pro with that. I want to bring up, so the fight between Daniel Van de Donk and Lindsey Horan.
Yep.
It's like, it's so funny because, first of all, I think we can all agree that the officiating was not very good in this entire game. I think the ref, she should have called some yellow cards, and then she was also calling some unnecessary fouls. However, there was this weird moment where after, they were kind of like getting each other's faces, she collected them to make up. And there's like 2 points of view with this. One is, would we ever see this in a men's game? Never. Like, it was kind of silly. It was sort of like, oh yeah, the girls have to make up vibes. But the other side of the coin is, perhaps, maybe in general, I think women's games have better sportsmanship. So, and another argument, another side of the coin could be that, well, they're elevating the game by doing this in the same way that women tend to get up quickly after fouls. They don't dive as much. They don't kind of embellish what's happening. So, yes, it was weird and I think unnecessary, but there's that side of the argument. And then Lindsey Horan just got effing pissed off and scored that beautiful header from a set piece. Also, usmnt, take a note from the women about how to do set pieces. Like, oh my gosh. Like, I mean, it was Rose Lavelle was killing those. Like, everyone was positioned well.
Ball. They had this clipped ball that they kept playing, and it's a very interesting corner because it doesn't generate any pace. And they kept doing it in the first half. It did nothing. And honestly, I was getting a little upset. And then they brought on Rose Lavelle in the second half, and she started to take those, and it changed. She picked out Lindsey Horan, and it was well done. Because in the beginning, I'm like, why do you keep playing this sort of clip ball with no pace in it? But it ended up working out. And I do agree with you. I think the referee made a big show of that. Didn't need to do the whole making up thing. Like, they do that on the men's side, but not to that degree. I thought it was excessive.
Yeah. They
And
were friendly after the game, though. I think she posted.
Well, they're friends. They play together. They're on the same team.
They're on the same club, and she had that hat going on, and it's normal. Like, sometimes you get competitive in a match, and it doesn't mean everything. But to this point, was I disappointed in the draw per se? I would say no. If we were just taking the first half, of course, but the second half, Trinity Rodman almost had that goal. Sophia Smith almost had that goal. Alex Morgan offsides. Like I really think they easily could have won. They were dominating the second half, and it was just a bit unlucky. So I wouldn't say that I am disappointed in the draw in that perspective. However, the first half was very disappointing. But I'm super like, it was like, okay, this is American soccer. This is American women's soccer. Like it was so fun watching the game. Everybody was
Yeah,
getting
that
into it.
Lindsay Horan moment was incredible. Like I think it was an amazing moment when she got the goal. All right, looking forward now, I want to talk a little bit about what we have in store here because it's not easy for tomorrow's game. Technically, the day after it's at midnight. We'll get into it. We'll give you guys all the details to watch. But yeah, I mean, there's still a big task to do.
Yeah, and it's very important, right? Because this determines whether you play Sweden or Italy. And by the way, Sweden just thumped Italy 5-0. So there's a big difference in those teams. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's very simple, right? The US
could be South Africa and Argentina. By the way, still they're both technically not eliminated. I
correct,
don't. Yeah,
correct,
yeah,
correct. They're
yeah,
both in. Sorry,
yeah,
that's true. That's true.
yeah.
But it comes very simply down to goal difference, right? We beat Vietnam 3-0. The Netherlands beat Portugal 1-0, so we're ahead at this point. We're +3, they're +1. Now we play Portugal, they play Vietnam. Portugal is a much better team than Vietnam, but we're also playing better at this point. So, I mean, I think it's in our hands, but we have to win this group.
Yeah, I think also just from a symbolic standpoint, I think it is important that we come into the knockouts having won our group. That okay, we're here, despite the injuries and everything, despite a young team, mixing around with vets, we're evolving and we're ready to do this and, progress.
Yeah. So let me finish with this now. There was a lot of criticism about Vlatko Andonovski's choices during the game. People were questioning his coaching abilities, so on and so forth. One specific thing he didn't do is use a lot of the subs. So there was a lot of, situation here that Vlatko needs to use the bench. So this is the onside, offside topic. Onside or offside, Vlatko Andonovski needs to utilize the subs.
Um, you know what? I'm gonna go offsides for this, and I'll tell you why. It's because, I mean, first of all, people are questioning why is Rose Lavelle coming on so late? She's changing the game. She's recovering from an injury, and I do think in the knockouts he will utilize more subs. I think he's trying to conserve all our players right now, and I think it is a tactical, intentional choice. Yeah, what's interesting about women's soccer, especially or the Women's World Cup rather, in comparison to the Men's World Cup, is we see a lot of horizontal play in the Men's World Cup. They're making tons of passes, they're not driving forward as much. It's a little bit more tempered, and it's almost like watching the women's World Cup. It almost looks faster just because they're constantly driving forward, and also they're sort of trained, especially I feel like the US women, in a way that they'll try to beat you one-on-one and they're not afraid of losing the ball because then someone from the back will pick up the slack versus being a bit more methodical with their choices. So that being said, I think also the reason why you don't utilize the bench as much is you need these people like Sophia Smith, like Trinity Rodman, who are also kind of honing in on their craft, and they're there to beat people one-on-one. You need sort of those staples, and I think bringing on subs can sort of screw with that formation a bit. I mean, they're just trying to also learn how to play together as a team. I think if you bring on other subs too early, it might complicate everything, as much as I would still love to see like Lynn Williams and Alyssa Thompson play.
Yeah. Okay. So Ishana is offside. Rahi, what do you got?
Yeah, the critical point that you just made at the end is they need to figure out how to play together. They've looked a bit out of sorts at times, those three forwards, and those three forwards are the key to our team moving forward. It's Alex Morgan in the center, it's Sophia Smith, it's Trinity Rodman. So I am going offside here as well. It's tight. Yes, you can say Lynn Williams, great player, had a great season. Alyssa Thompson could have brought her on. Yes, and he will use those players. But fundamentally, as a statement, needs to utilize the bench. It takes away from the fact that these three players need to gel, develop chemistry. In that second half, they looked like they were very dangerous together. Think about it. Alex Morgan has that one chance.
Yeah.
Just offside, right? Trinity Rodman has the one-on-one that she just misses. And then Sophia Smith has the volley that gets clear off the line. All those three players were very dangerous. So they need to be, the focal point for him was, let's make sure they can play together. I am completely in agreement with you, Sean, on this one, that The bench is the bench. It's fine. They'll be useful. Megan Rapinoe will
Yeah.
come in. She'll be fine. She's injured. Save her minutes. Rose Lavelle, save her minutes. I get it. Those three have to be firing on all cylinders.
I
Yeah,
think
I-
also
I-
like you forget to like watching this, especially in the second half, those Alex Morgan, those flick shoes making the passes, like you forget what a playmaker she is. And, that comes from veteran experience. And I think, the three of them, we're just going to see better stuff come along.
So I know you guys are both offside. I am actually going to go against both of you today. I'm going onside for this, and just purely because I do feel that these are, you mentioned Alex Morgan. Obviously, I think Sophia Smith needs to play the whole game, but some of these players, I think Alex Morgan is a veteran, but I saw she was getting a little bit tired at the very end from that perspective, and I do think someone like Alyssa Thompson could come on and be a difference maker. I agree. In the knockout rounds, it's even more important, but let's see how that goes. First things first, though, need to get the job done against Portugal. Everyone tune into that game. It's at midnight. So
Midnight PST.
Midnight PST
3 a.m. here on the
tomorrow.
East Coast. What do you like? I'm gonna be like just in bed, getting out of bed or whatever.
The East
Midnight
Coast
for you
people.
guys.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
midnight PST. It's 3 a.m. East Coast time. It's tomorrow, Monday. So that technically the Tuesday, 12 a.m. So Monday night, but ask your local bar. and
I'm
make
gonna-
sure about support the women.
Gather people at 11 so they have no excuses, and then get some alcohol or something into their system, some food, so that then by the time it's midnight, they don't even realize, like, oh my God, like it's game time,
Man, I'm
Be
gonna have to
clever.
keep going. Till 4 a.m., 5 a.m. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
I
well,
can do it. I can do it. If Lindsey Horan can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
that's the way it goes. Anyway, as always, go US women, win the group, and go USA.